Last night, you dreamed about something. You probably forgot it by breakfast. Most people do. But somewhere in that forgotten dream, your brain was doing something it has done every single night for at least 200,000 years. The real answer to why you dream is far stranger than you think. You assume dreams are random, static, mental noise your brain throws off while it sleeps, like a television left on after the show ends. That is what scientists believed for most of the 20th century, too. Random firing, meaningless images, nothing to see here. But then researchers started asking a different question. Not why are dreams weird, but why do dreams keep doing the same weird thing, in the same order, across almost every culture on Earth? And once they asked that question, the pattern was impossible to ignore. Open your eyes for a second and think about what you actually remember from your last nightmare. Was someone chasing you? Were you falling? Were you trapped or lost or about to be hurt? If so, you are not unusual. You are ancient. Psychologist Antti Revonsuo spent years studying the content of dreams across different cultures, and he found something remarkable. The overwhelming majority of dreams that people remember are not pleasant. They are threatening. Being chased, being attacked, falling from a height, losing someone. Revonsuo proposed an idea called the threat simulation theory, and it suggests your dreaming brain is not malfunctioning at all. It is rehearsing. Think about what life looked like for your ancestors 80,000 years ago. No streetlights, no locks, no walls thick enough to stop a predator. Every night the body shut down for hours in total darkness, completely vulnerable. A mind that practiced danger while sleeping, instead of one that simply switched off, had a real advantage. It got to fail safely. It got to flee from the lion 100 times in its head before ever meeting one in the grass. That is the strange part most people never consider. Your nightmares may not be a glitch. They might be a survival simulator that your brain still runs every night for threats that mostly do not exist anymore. So if dreaming was built for survival, why does it still happen now? You are not running from leopards. You are not foraging at dusk, listening for the snap of a branch behind you. And yet your brain still drags you through chase scenes and falling sensations almost every week. Here is where it gets even more interesting. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker, who has spent decades studying sleep, found that dreaming sleep, the stage called REM, does something beyond rehearsing danger. It processes emotional memory. During REM sleep, the stress chemical in your brain drops to its lowest point of the entire day, even while you replay emotionally charged moments from your life. Walker described this as a kind of overnight therapy. You get to relive the hard moment, but without the flood of stress hormones that made it hard in the first place. Why would evolution build that? Because raw, unprocessed emotion is expensive. A brain that carries yesterday's fear into tomorrow's hunt is a brain that hesitates at the wrong moment. Dreaming may be the ancient solution to clearing emotional residue before the next day's dangers arrive. So picture an early human waking at dawn after a brutal day. Maybe they watched a companion get hurt. Maybe they barely escaped a predator at the riverbank. That night, their brain doesn't just store the memory. It runs it back, again and again, stripped of the worst of the panic, until what's left is something closer to information than terror. A lesson, not a wound. Is that not exactly what you do too? Have you ever had a bad day, gone to sleep furious or heartbroken, and woken up feeling strangely lighter, even if nothing in the world actually changed? That lightness has a name now, and it has been with our species for longer than language itself. There's a third piece to this puzzle, and it comes from one of the most influential sleep researchers in history, J. Allen Hobson. Hobson helped develop what's called activation synthesis theory, the idea that dreams happen because the brainstem fires random electrical signals during REM sleep, and the higher thinking parts of your brain scramble to make sense of that noise. Your cortex, the storytelling part of you, takes the chaos and forces it into something resembling a narrative. A house, a chase, a familiar face in an unfamiliar place. In other words, your brain refuses to leave anything unexplained. Even nonsense gets a plot. Even random static gets characters. This single trait, the compulsion to find a story in chaos, did not start with dreaming. It is the same trait that let your ancestors look at scattered stars and see a hunter, a bear, a bull. The same trait that turns a rustling bush into something is there instead of meaningless sound. Dreaming did not invent this storytelling reflex. It simply revealed it every single night with nobody watching but you. Now here is the twist that almost nobody expects. If dreaming exists to rehearse danger and process emotion, then the content of dreams should track the actual threats of the era. And it does. Children in war zones report dramatically more violent and threat-filled dreams than children in peaceful regions. People recovering from trauma often dream the same threatening scenario for weeks, as if the brain is stuck running one simulation over and over until it finally resolves. Your dreaming brain is not stuck in the past. It is reading your present and reacting in the only language it has left from deep history, the language of threat and chase and fall. So what does that mean for the dream you had last night? The one you can barely remember. It might have had nothing to do with lions or rivers or ancient dangers, but the machinery behind it is identical to the machinery that kept a Homo sapiens alive on the savannah 80,000 years ago. The actors changed. A deadline replaced the leopard. A difficult conversation replaced the rival tribe. But the rehearsal, the emotional processing, the desperate need to build a story out of nothing, none of that updated. It just changed its costume. Think about the last time you dreamed about being unprepared for an exam, or showing up late to something important, or losing your footing on unstable ground. None of those are physical threats anymore. But your ancient threat detection system does not know the difference between a predator and a deadline. It only knows fear, and it only knows to rehearse. There is something almost comforting in that. You are not broken when you have a stressful dream. You are not malfunctioning when you wake up at 3 a.m. with your heart pounding from something that wasn't even real. You are running software that is older than agriculture, older than cities, older than written language. Software built by countless nights of trial and error, passed down by ancestors who survived long enough to dream again. Consider how strange that inheritance really is. Every dream you have ever had was shaped by a selection process that started before history began. A brain that dreamed badly, that rehearsed nothing, that processed no emotional residue, was a brain slightly more likely to freeze at the wrong moment or carry yesterday's fear into today's hunt. Across thousands of generations, the dreamers who rehearsed well outlasted the ones who didn't. You are descended from the survivors of that quiet, nightly contest. Every dream you have is a small echo of that contest still running. And it is not only fear that gets rehearsed. Some researchers have found that dreams also simulate social situations, arguments, awkward encounters, moments where you said the wrong thing or didn't say anything at all. Why would evolution bother simulating a conversation instead of a predator? Because for most of human history, the tribe was the real safety net. Being cast out by your group could be just as deadly as a lion in the grass. A brain that rehearsed social mistakes, that replayed the sting of being excluded or the relief of being forgiven, was a brain better equipped to keep its place inside the group that kept it alive. That reframes almost every embarrassing dream you have ever had. The one where you showed up somewhere unprepared, or said something humiliating in front of a crowd, or were left behind by people who mattered to you. None of that is random anxiety. It is the same ancient circuitry that once kept your ancestors bonded to their tribe, still firing now, even though the stakes have changed beyond recognition. There is also the matter of children. Researchers studying how dream content develops across childhood have found that very young children rarely dream the elaborate, narrative-driven nightmares that adults do. Their dream worlds tend to be simpler, more fragmented, often just a single threatening image rather than a full unfolding story. As the brain matures and gathers more lived experience, dreams grow more complex, more narrative, more emotionally layered. This suggests dreaming is not a fixed program installed at birth. It is something the brain builds and refines as it learns what exactly is dangerous, embarrassing, or worth remembering in this particular life. Which raises a question worth sitting with for a moment. If dreaming is a kind of nightly training simulation, what is your brain training for right now? Not lions, not rival tribes creeping toward your camp at night. What threats fill your days well enough that your brain decided they were worth rehearsing in your sleep? For many people, the answer has shifted from physical danger to something quieter: social rejection, public failure, the fear of disappointing someone whose opinion matters. Modern life removed most of the predators, but it kept the brain that was built to dream about them, and that brain simply redirected its attention toward whatever feels most threatening now. The shape of the simulation barely changed, only the props on the stage are different. And maybe that is the real reason dreams feel so strange and so personal at the same time. They are personal, built from your memories and your fears. But they are also ancient, built from a script that has been rehearsed by every human who ever closed their eyes in the dark and hoped to wake up again. So tonight, when you finally drift off, remember this. Somewhere behind your closed eyes, an 80,000-year-old survival system is about to switch on. It does not know about your job, your phone, or your traffic. It only knows fear, story, and rehearsal. And by morning, whether you remember it or not, it will have done exactly what it has always done. It will have helped you survive one more night, the same way it helped every person who came before you. Last night, you dreamed about something. Now you finally know why.